The strangest business mistake I keep seeing is this. Someone has 10 customers, no real cash cushion, no clear proof that the offer works yet, and they are already trying to build the scalable version. They want the course, they want the app, they want the automated funnel, they want the clean machine that runs without them. And I get why. It sounds smarter, it sounds bigger, it sounds like the adult version of business. But a lot of the time, that clean machine is just a hiding place, because the ugly, manual, expensive version teaches you the part you cannot fake, what people really want, what they will actually pay for, and what your offer is worth when there is no automation to hide behind. If I had to start again now, I would not begin by trying to look big. I would start small, but I would not start cheap. That sounds backwards because most people think the beginner move is to charge less, be affordable, get volume, help everyone, build trust slowly. Nice story. The problem is that cheap customers still cost time, attention, energy, support, delivery, and mistakes. Cheap does not mean light. It just means you get less room to breathe. So I would build the premium version first. Not forever, not because every business should become some luxury status game. I would do it because high prices force truth onto the table faster. They expose weak promises. They expose vague buyers. They expose the parts of the service that are just decoration. And they give you cash while you are still figuring the machine out. The trap is thinking the expensive offer is the final product. It is not. It is the workshop. The first move is not to reach more people. The first move is to stop needing so many people. That is the part most beginners hate, because volume feels safe. If one person says no, there are 1,000 more. If the offer is cheap, nobody can judge you too hard. If the service is average, the price gives you an excuse. But that excuse is expensive. A cheap offer has to be sold again and again and again. Every new buyer resets the work. Every refund hurts. Every support request eats the margin. And because the price is low, you need a lot of proof before the numbers start feeling real. A premium offer changes the pressure. Now one buyer matters. One result matters. One conversation matters. You cannot hide behind averages. You have to know who the buyer is, what pain they feel, and what would make them say, yes, I want that now. That pressure is useful. I do not mean you should invent a giant price and hope someone is careless enough to pay it. That is not a business. That is a tax on confusion, and it has a short life. I mean you build a version where the buyer gets more access, more speed, more attention, more certainty, and less work on their side. The value is not the fact that you are busy. Nobody cares that you are busy. The value is that their problem moves faster because you are involved. That is the expensive door. Most people keep it closed because they are afraid someone will laugh at the price. Fine, let them laugh. The real danger is never finding out who would not. The mistake is looking at your cheapest customer and asking, how do I make them pay 10 times more? Usually, you do not. That is the wrong room. The person buying the cheap version may be perfect for that version. They may be smart, serious, and grateful. But they may not have the money, urgency, or risk level that makes a premium offer make sense. A higher price often belongs to a different buyer. That buyer is not paying for more stuff, more videos, more PDFs, more calls, more bonuses. That is how beginners build expensive junk. They stack things until the offer looks heavy, then they wonder why nobody wants to carry it. The better question is, what does this buyer want removed? Remove delay, remove guessing, remove setup, remove the risk of choosing the wrong step, remove the feeling that they are alone with the problem. A busy founder does not want a giant library of lessons. They want the part that fixes the bottleneck this week. A homeowner with money does not want to manage 5 different people. They want one person responsible for the result. A client under pressure does not want access to resources. They want fewer chances to mess it up. That is where premium value starts, not in adding weight, in removing drag. And this is why the buyer matters so much. If the pain is small, the price will always feel large. If the pain is sharp enough, the price becomes a comparison. Not, is this expensive? More like, what does it cost me if this stays broken? The ugly version teaches faster. I know that sounds wrong because ugly is not how people want to be seen. They want the polished page, the perfect system, the smooth onboarding, the dashboard, the brand. But early on, polish can lie. A manual service cannot lie for long. When you work close to the customer, you see where they hesitate. You hear the exact words they use when they are confused. You notice the step they keep avoiding. You find out which promise they actually care about and which promise only sounded good in your head. That information is worth more than another month of planning. This is the part where scalable becomes a dangerous word. Scalable sounds mature, but sometimes it just means you are copying a process you do not understand yet. You cannot automate a mess and call it leverage. You just made the mess faster. The manual version gives you clean signals. Not perfect signals, but clean ones. If every client gets stuck at the same point, the offer has a weak point. If every client asks for the same extra help, that extra help may be part of the real product. If every strong result comes from one part of the service, that part may be the value. This is why one-on-one work can be so powerful at the start. It is not glamorous. It is not passive. It is not the dream people sell online while standing next to rented furniture, but it puts you close to reality, and reality is where the money is. The funny part is that the manual version can later become the scalable version, but only after it has been beaten up by real buyers, real problems, and real delivery. Without that, you are not building a machine. You are decorating a guess. A high price does something uncomfortable. It makes the promise visible. When you say a small number, people may buy because the risk feels low. They can shrug, they can try it, they can forget about it. When you say a serious number, the buyer starts checking the offer with a different part of their brain. They ask sharper questions. Can this work for me? Why should I trust you? What happens if I get stuck? How fast can this move? What exactly do I get that I cannot get from the cheaper version? That pressure is not a problem. It is the test. If your offer falls apart under those questions, good. Better to know now. A lot of people avoid premium pricing because they think the scary part is hearing no. It is not. The scary part is hearing yes and realizing you now have to deliver at that level. That is why the premium version must be real. It needs actual priority, actual access, actual care, actual speed, actual reduction of effort for the buyer. If it is just the normal offer with a gold sticker on it, the market will smell it. Maybe not instantly, but soon enough. And there is another strange benefit. Once the premium version exists, the cheaper version can feel clearer. Not fake cheaper, clearer. People understand the difference. Some want direct help. Some want the lighter version. Some want the fast lane. Some want to do it themselves. Now the business has shape. The premium offer becomes an anchor, but it also becomes a filter. It tells people what full support looks like. Then they can choose how much support they want. The key is to say the price and stop talking. That silence matters. Most people ruin the moment because they get nervous and start discounting with their mouth before the buyer has even answered. Say the number. Let it sit. A serious price needs air around it. The more someone has, the more they hate waiting. That is one of the simplest reasons premium offers work. A person with little money often wants the cheaper path because money is the tight resource. A person with more money often wants the faster path because time is the tight resource. This does not mean rich people throw money at anything. That is lazy thinking. People with money can be very hard to sell because they have seen plenty of dressed up nonsense before. But when the pain is real, speed becomes valuable. Faster response, faster setup, faster delivery, faster correction when something goes wrong, faster access to the person who can actually make the call. That alone can justify a higher tier in many businesses. Not because the work is magical, because waiting is expensive. There is also ease. Ease is not laziness. Ease is part of value. If a customer has to take 20 steps to get the result, every step is a place where they can stall, misunderstand, delay, or disappear. A better offer removes steps. Done with you removes some. Done for you removes more. Priority removes delay. Personal attention removes guessing. Clear ownership removes the quiet disaster where everyone is involved and nobody is responsible. That is what people pay for when they buy a serious offer. They are not buying your time like it is a pile of minutes. They are buying the effect of your time on their problem. And the more direct that effect is, the more the price can rise. This is also where the limit shows up. You cannot sell unlimited closeness. You cannot give everyone priority. You cannot make every client the exception. Premium only works if it is capped. The scarcity has to be real because the delivery has to stay real. Otherwise, the fast lane becomes another traffic jam with better branding. The dangerous place is the middle. Not cheap enough to spread easily, not expensive enough to give you margin, not personal enough to create deep results, not simple enough to sell at volume. It is a comfortable looking trap. The offer feels reasonable, the price feels safe, the promise feels acceptable. Nobody gets too scared, and that is exactly why it can sit there doing nothing. A business needs a strong reason to exist in the buyer's mind. Either it is easy to say yes because the cost is low and the promise is clear, or it is expensive because the result is important and the support is serious. The mushy middle gives people too much time to think and not enough reason to act. That is why I would build from the top down. Start with the closest, strongest, most useful version. Charge enough that you can care properly. Learn from the people who have the sharpest pain. Use their problems to refine the promise. Use their results to understand what actually works. Then, later, you can pull pieces out and make lighter versions. A guide, a group, a template, a lower touch offer, a product that more people can use. Now the cheaper version is not a random pile of advice. It is a compressed version of something that already worked when the stakes were higher. That is a very different thing. The premium offer is not just a way to make more money. It is how the business learns what deserves to be scaled. The beginner instinct is to look bigger than you are. I think the better move is to get closer than everyone else is willing to get. Charge for that closeness. Use it to learn. Use it to build cash. Use it to find the real buyer, the real pain, and the real result. Then scale what has already survived contact with reality. Because the market does not reward the offer that sounds the cleanest in your head. It rewards the one that removes the most pain from the right person, at the right speed, with the least friction.